What is up, guys? We're back with another video, and earlier this year we took a look at DeepCool's AS500 CPU cooler, and we actually really liked it quite a lot. And now they're back with an even bigger AK620, which is a dual tower, dual fan cooler. So let's go ahead and take a look. Taking a first look at the cooler, as I mentioned, this is a pretty big cooler overall. I wouldn't say it's massive by any means, but it's definitely bigger than a lot of single tower coolers. So I'll go ahead and put the dimensions kind of like right here on the screen. And the one dimension you want to look at is how tall the cooler is. It's only 160 millimeters, which means it's pretty much going to fit in any mid tower out there. Most mid towers, you know, the max height of a CPU cooler is usually 165 millimeters, so you fit nicely right under there. The cooler is going to feature two identical 120 millimeter cooling fans. Now, these PWM fans feature a fluid dynamic bearing that offers low noise operation without losing cooling output. The PWM range of the fans are 500 to 1850 RPM, and the noise level at full load is 28 dBA. The fans attach to both heatsink towers using your typical fan clips. So you have a fan on the front of the cooler and then another in the center. It would have been nice if DeepCool did include a third set of fan clips, so you could, buy a third fan if you wanted to. As I mentioned, this of course is a dual tower cooler as well. So we do have dual aluminum heatsink towers. These towers use a dense matrix fin array. Each of the heatsink towers is capped, and it has a pretty cool design on it with the DeepCool logo. I actually really like this design compared to say RGB or something really flashy. It's just sleek and stylish, and I really like it. Coming up from the base of the cooler, we have 6 millimeter thick copper heat pipes. Now, these copper heat pipes go up into each of the heatsink towers in a U fashion, which is pretty typical for a dual tower cooler. The base of the cooler is pretty large and thick and is of course made of copper. Now, taking a closer look at the base, we can see we have a very clean finish, but some machining marks are definitely visible. Moving on to installation, we're going to be installing this cooler in an Intel Z490 system. So our installation is going to be for all current Intel sockets, including LGA 1200, LGA 1155, LGA 1150, and LGA 1151. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is find the Intel backplate and attach it through the back side of your motherboard, holding it into place with the included Intel standoffs. Next, install the Intel mounting bars, securing them in place with the included thumb screws. Now, these bars need to be installed on the top and bottom of your socket if you want air coming in from the front of your case and then being exhausted out the back. Apply the included thermal paste and then remove the fans from your cooler. Also be sure to remove that sticker from the bottom of the base of the cooler. Then carefully install the cooler on top of your CPU, lining up the screws on the cooler with the standoffs on the mounting bars. Using the included screwdriver, secure the cooler. Now go ahead and reinstall your fans and then use the included Y connector to connect them to your motherboard. With the fans installed, we can see that they do overhang our memory, so you might not want to do RGB memory with this cooler, but there is more than enough clearance for standard size memory. When it comes to testing, we're going to be recording both temperatures as well as noise levels. For temperatures, we use AIDA64, and for noise levels, we use a SoundPro sound level meter. Now, our idle temperature is taken on the Windows 10 desktop after being turned on for 1 hour. And then we have load 1, which is the AIDA64 system stability test with just the CPU selected. And then load 2 is the same AIDA64 test with both CPU and FPU selected. Here's a rundown of the hardware that we're running in our test system. As we wrap this review up, I think there's two things that are generally true about dual tower, dual fan coolers. For the most part, they have excellent cooling. These are the coolers that you want to get that, are on par with like an AIO or even water cooling. And I think that this cooler is definitely on par with that. So this cooler has that. The second thing is that typically they are massive. And by massive, I mean you need a really big case. You need a lot of room to work with. You definitely need to install those coolers outside of the case. And I think with this cooler, it's not massive. As you can see, it definitely has a big footprint, but I don't feel like it's a massive cooler. And the way that DeepCool was able to do this is that the towers aren't necessarily really tall, and they've gone with 120 millimeter fans instead of 140 millimeter fans. So this makes installation much easier. It also allows the cooler to be installed in a lot of other cases. We have it installed here in the Be Quiet Silent Base 500DX, which is definitely on the smaller side of mid towers. No problem, no clearance issues whatsoever. And I would say that in a lot of cases, you can definitely install this cooler inside the case with your motherboard already mounted. We did it outside, that's how we do all of our installations. But I can see just because of the way that the fans go in pretty easily from the top, you shouldn't have any real issues getting this cooler installed inside of a case. So definitely, again, not on the massive side, which I do like, just allows for more compatibility when it comes to cases. Also, with those smaller fans, we have a little bit more noise than say a cooler with 140 millimeter fans. Now, we tested this cooler directly against Be Quiet's Dark Rock TF2. The Dark Rock TF2 was definitely quieter, but this cooler had better performance. So a little bit better performance with a little bit more noise, but the noise is barely noticeable. I wouldn't say this is a loud cooler. We've reviewed some very loud coolers, and of course I've used the AMD and Intel stock coolers, and those are very, very loud when you put full load on your system. This is not a loud cooler whatsoever. So you really shouldn't have to worry about that all that much. And I really like the design of this cooler. It kind of has that boxy design, I guess. It's kind of how a lot of tower coolers are, but no RGB, which I like, and just kind of a sleek cap, sleek caps on the cooler itself with the DeepCool logo. It just looks really good and sleek, and I really like that. And there's really not a whole lot to not like about this cooler. The one thing is it would have been nice to have an extra set of fan clips. So if we wanted to, we could put a third fan back there for even more performance. But overall, I think this cooler is really good. It's priced really well too. It's $69.99, which I feel is a very good price for a high-end cooler like this. A lot of the other high-end coolers are, $100, even up to $120 for those super high-end air coolers. So this is priced really good as well. So if you do have any questions about this cooler, definitely go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And we will have links to our full written review as well as everything else down there in the description. Now, if you did like this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up and definitely go ahead and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next video.